Hey there, I'm Michael Williams, your island chef. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we've got a special episode for you. We're gonna start off with a little visit over to Hospice. We're gonna find out what they're all about, and we're gonna learn about their biggest fundraiser, the Cycle of Life Tour. It's a huge bike ride where there's a big demand on everyday people to ride their bike big distances. So to follow things up from that, we're gonna bring Shelley in for a little bit of nutrition advice. She's the nutrition manager from Royal Oak Country Grocer, and she's gonna tell us all about how to fuel our body up while we enjoy a delicious salad. All of that coming up on today's show. Wendy.
Hi.
Hi, good to see you
Yeah,
again.
nice to see you.
It's been, what, since last July?
Yeah, the last Cycle of Life tour.
Yeah. So tell me and us, anyone who's watching, a little bit about Hospice and what you guys are all about here.
Yeah. So Victoria Hospice is a charity that's been providing end-of-life care to the Victoria community since 1980. Mm-hmm. So our goal is to enhance the quality of life for people with a life-limiting illness, and to provide support for their family. Really at a time when time is the most precious thing. I find that a lot of people know about maybe one piece of the work we do, but they may not be familiar with all the aspects of work we do. They may have had a loved one in our inpatient unit at the Royal Jubilee Hospital here.
I have.
Which is quite common, but they don't realize that we also have a palliative response team, which is a counselor and a nurse that provides 24/7 crisis intervention and treatment for people who wish to die at home. So we have almost as many people in the community, who are choosing and able to die at home thanks to the services that Victoria Hospice provides.
I did not know that myself.
Another really important part of the services that we provide is bereavement support for families, because at Victoria Hospice, it's a very patient-centered approach. Mm-hmm. And so we are always, the needs of the patients and the families are at the center of everything we do, and we're really here to walk alongside them through that journey. And so that journey continues even after a loved one has passed.
It sure does,
The bereavement services we provide, grief counseling for families after they've lost a loved one. And something else that a lot of people don't know is that those bereavement services are actually available to anybody in the community. So you don't have to have had a loved one go through our services to access that counseling service.
That's amazing. And going back to what I was saying earlier, none of that can happen without all of the amazing fundraising work that you guys do.
Yeah, it's so true. We really couldn't do what we do without the support of our community. And we're really lucky in Victoria that we do have a very generous and supportive community. Roughly 50% of our operating costs are funded through community donations. So that can be individual donations, grants, corporate sponsorships, legacy gifts, and of course fundraising events.
Big events. You and I work on the Cycle of Life every year. You have a couple other ones that you do as well that are big contributors. Why don't you tell us a bit about those?
One of the events is Hike for Hospice, which happens in May, which is a community awareness walk, and it's just such a great day for families, many of them who've been touched by hospice care, to come out and support Victoria Hospice and also to remember a loved one. So that happens in May, and then in June we have the Teeny Tiny Garden Tour, which is a really fun event, and we have about 12, every year there are different gardens, and we have about 12 gardens in the Victoria area whose owners open up their garden gates, and garden tour goers get a ticket, and they go around on a self-guided tour for the day to explore people's backyards. And then, of course, as you know, in July we have the Cycle of Life Tour, which is an amazing 2-day cycling event that supports hospice care.
Yeah, I love it. I look forward to not participating. Well, maybe one day. But helping create that event. You and I worked closely over the last several years, and it's been running for how many years now? Cycle of Life.
This will be the 7th annual Cycle of Life Tour.
And it's just what the energy and emotion and passion that goes behind it is just so incredible. and what those riders do, riding from Victoria all the way up to Crofton, right? Taking the ferry over to Salt Spring, and then riding into the Farmers Institute where they camp overnight and get to have a delicious meal created by me and a team of hospice volunteers. Just love it. So much fun, so enjoyable, and you know, big money raiser for you guys, right?
It's incredible. So last year we raised $198,000, which is just amazing. And this year the riders are super excited and on track to blow past that goal.
Nice. That's awesome. Now, obviously, people can support these fundraisers by contributing donations to, you know, different individuals that are participating in them. But how else can the community help?
Well, you know, as I said, we're a charity, so we do rely on community support. We also have an incredible volunteer team. You know, we really couldn't do the work we do without those volunteers. And those volunteers work in every aspect of what we do, from you know, with patients to fundraising events. So the Cycle Life Tour wouldn't happen without about 60 volunteers who come out.
So if people are interested in say volunteering, where would they go to find out how to do that?
Yeah, so our website, victoriahospice.org, has information on volunteering at Victoria Hospice. It also has a great events listing, so you can always check out the events. And if there's a particular event you want to volunteer for, I'm the contact, so you just reach out to me.
So victoriahospice.org?
That's right.
Perfect. And I think you were going to introduce me to the counselor?
Yeah, that's right. Michelle Dale is our unit counselor. We have just a phenomenal staff here of you know, physicians, nurses, counselors, spiritual care, unit clerks, volunteers. They're just really amazing people. They make hospice the special place that it is. So I'd love to introduce you to Michelle.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
So, Michelle, thanks so much for taking some time to sit down and tell us a little bit about what you do here. It's fantastic to be able to meet you and hear about your experience as a counselor here with hospice.
Well, thank you so much for coming in and for helping us share what we do with the bigger community.
The work you do here is, you know, unspeakably important, and I can relate to that on a personal level because I lost my mom 23 years ago, and she actually passed here, so,
Oh, Mike, I'm sorry.
Long time ago, but that was a process that I had to go through, and I do remember leaning on someone who was in your role that many years ago, and you know, would have been hard to get through it without that.
Well, I'm sorry you had that loss, and I'm glad we were able to support you in whatever way we were able to support you.
Yeah. So with all that said, and the importance of you know, the counselors within the hospice environment, what drew you to become a hospice counselor?
Well, I moved to Victoria about 22 years ago, and I'd been doing international relief work in Southern Africa before coming here for about 5 years.
Okay.
And we moved here because we had small kids and we needed this kind of environment for them. One had special needs. And I was really trying to figure out the next stage of my life, and I wanted to do work that was meaningful, that was coming from the heart. That was really, really important to me. And so I thought about going into social work, and I'd begun that process of going back to school with 3 little kids. And then a friend of mine became ill and was admitted to the hospice unit, and I came to visit her, and it was my first time being in hospice. And I can still remember that complete sense of knowing that this is where I was supposed to be. And it was an absolute clarity. It was like falling in love on a professional level. And it was a sense of the atmosphere. I remember coming in, and I'd been in lots of hospitals and lots of clinics in my life and in my work, but to be in a place that felt imbued with love, that's what drew me to hospice.
We're so lucky to have you here at Victoria Hospice, Michelle. And maybe you can tell Michael a little bit more about what you do on a day-to-day and how you work with patients and families.
It's, in some ways, being a counselor at hospice, or really anybody at hospice, is a bit like being a mother. If you're doing your job really, really well, nobody notices. You know, you're just providing safety, you're creating an atmosphere that is loving and supportive. You're enhancing the resilience of the patients and the family so that they feel they're doing as well as they possibly can. It's not about them afterwards saying, oh, that counselor, she made all the difference. That's not what our goal is. Our goal is to really make sure that the patients and families are at the center of this experience, and they feel like they have done what they need to do to get through a really challenging time.
Yeah, you're kind of there as a seamless support network.
That's really our goal. Yeah.
So I shared a little bit of my personal experience here with you. Is there any experiences that stand out with you about any people that have crossed your path in your time here?
Well, I would say that every week something impactful occurs. It's a pretty remarkable place in that sense. Just last week we had a young, not so young, they start to seem younger and younger with in their late 60s, early 70s, but we had a man on the unit. He came in still at a pretty high level. He was still able to walk, and then things changed really quickly. But very early on, like the first or second day that he was here, I had a chance to meet with him. And we were talking about who he is, because a big part of hospice is really providing holistic care. We don't want to just know about symptoms and illness. We want to know about the person. And what this gentleman said to me is that what he has discovered in his life, that the only things that really matter are truth and love. And it's so simple, but it still gives me that sense of awe. That we're given the privilege of meeting with people who are living so intentionally and so clearly, even in their final weeks.
Absolutely. That's also beautiful.
Yeah,
I love how all of that just enriches our community.
Yes.
And as someone who gets to work out in the community with a lot of different folks, and most of them have had an experience at hospice with a loved one, and they're so grateful for that care that people like Michelle are able to support, that they want to give back. And so they take on a fundraising event, whether it's joining our hike or making a donation, or signing themselves up to ride 200 kilometers and ride in the Cycle of Life tour.
Yeah, totally. And then getting to eat some delicious food, maybe halfway in between.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a highlight for many of the riders. Every year I ask riders, what are they looking forward to most about the ride this year? And I kid you not, it's always Chef Mike's meal. It's going to be awesome. The food's just the best. So we're really grateful, for you being there and for Country Grocer's support.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I said it already. Beautiful event. I love being a part of it. Love creating that food, especially with the team, all of the hospice volunteers. It's so special. We're going to talk about some specifics for nutrition for the riders coming up next. But thank you to both of you for this. This was special.
Lovely to meet you, Mike. Thank you for coming in. And thank you for the support you're offering our community.
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
So here we are with Shelley. Welcome back to the kitchen.
Thank you. Yeah, it's great to be back.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming out. You're going to talk to us about some nutrition tips for post-exercise nutrition. We've got some riders that are going to be doing some pretty spectacular feats coming up pretty quick here for the Cycle of Life tour, including yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
I heard you signed up.
Yeah, I'm pretty
awesome.
Excited. Yeah, getting the training in and getting the nutrition kind of fine-tuned.
To
adapt.
Yeah, because actually, I've heard a lot of the riders are not typical riders, and they run into times where their energy just crashes because they're not fueling themselves properly, right? So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's some first-year riders, right, including myself this year. So some of the important things are making sure you get enough electrolytes, water and hydration, and then post-recovery, you want to make sure you get that protein in to support muscle synthesis. And then, of course, repair and helping the body get alkaline after the acidic environment from all of those repetitive cycles, right? And the duration of it as well can be taxing on the body. So a really healthy whole food meal is the most optimal way to go for recovery.
Today we've got some steak we're going to cook up, and we're going to serve it on some salad, a nice hearty salad though, with lots of roasted vegetables, some cubes of bread. We're going to toast all those together in the oven, finish it off with a little bit of sesame seeds, extra virgin olive oil in the dressing. How do you think we're doing so far?
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah,
lots of antioxidants in there, tissue repair. We've got some good alkalizing vegetables there. And the sesame seeds are full of minerals as well, so really good for the muscles.
Cool, okay. Yeah, we got a nice spectrum of color as well, right?
I love it,
Yeah. So what I want to do here is I want to get started with the bread. So I'm going to cut off a couple big chunks here, or I should say a big chunk, and then kind of cube it into a bunch of big pieces, because I want them to be fairly large. so that they don't cook too quickly in the oven with our veggies.
Oh, and I see that you have extra sesame on the bread as well. That's nice. Extra minerals.
It is. I didn't even realize that,
there
but
you
yeah,
go.
this is actually one of my favorite breads. It's the Phillips multigrain.
Oh, nice.
Multigrain.
Yeah.
It's leftover malt from the beer brewing process at Phillips Brewery.
Oh, okay.
So they take them and ship them off to Portofino Brewery, and they use that to create bread, and it's got a fantastic flavor. So I'm excited to show you that.
Yeah, that's excellent. And also, too, the multigrain bread contains really good complex carbs, so that can help fuel the muscles as well.
Right.
And prep them for the ride back from Salt Spring as well, so we're ready to make it back.
So for those viewers who aren't familiar, the riders leave Victoria on Saturday, ride all the way up to Crofton, take the ferry over to Salt Spring, boot it down to about the middle of the island so that they can enjoy a feast prepared by me and a team of hospice volunteers, which is fantastic.
Great.
I love doing that dinner every year.
Yeah.
And that hopefully will refuel everybody for the ride back home tomorrow morning after breakfast, right?
Yeah, definitely. Just getting there's half the battle.
200 kilometers, is that right?
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, very close.
Yeah, and so, back to the salad here, though. As you can see with these yams, I've cut them a lot smaller than the bread because I want them to cook fairly quickly so that we don't burn the bread. If everything was kind of the same size, those yams, if say they're nice big chunks, we'd end up with some burnt bread before our yams were cooked.
That's right.
So, yeah. So
you know your stuff.
We got some red onion and some zucchini we're going to get in there now. Probably take about half of this zucchini because it's a pretty big guy. Cut them like so, and then into big chunks like that. Those can go on the tray. And then a little bit of red onion.
Yeah, so onions contain sulfur that can help flush out the toxins that are released from exercise.
Right.
So those toxins can actually contribute to muscle cramping and headache and fatigue. So cleansing the body of that as well after exercise can just improve and reduce cramping, things like that. And then all of the minerals in there will help feed the muscles again as well.
Yeah, get everything kind of building up again and revitalized and ready for another round of exercise.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely.
So I've got some grapeseed oil here. You might know, why would I be using grapeseed oil as opposed to, say, extra virgin olive oil?
Oh, that's a great question. So grapeseed oil has a higher smoke point, so this allows us to cook at those higher temperatures without turning our oils into a carcinogen.
Exactly. Yeah. You knew exactly why I was using grapeseed oil. Awesome.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, when I'm cooking, I will notice that olive oil will start smoking a lot quicker than other oils. So I do tend to use grapeseed, coconut, clarified butter. I'll use all those for my higher temperature cooking for exactly that reason. This is going to get seasoned up now. A little bit of salt and pepper. And this will be ready to hit the oven. Okay, so I've actually got some of these already cooked, so we should maybe check that out.
Oh, that looks great.
Right?
Look at that.
Looking good.
Really nice.
We need to get our steak cooking though. So I've got a hot pan here. I'm gonna get the steak in the grill once I grab my grapeseed oil.
That's right.
Okay, so as you can see, Shelley, my pan is nice and hot here. I'm gonna add in just a little bit of grapeseed oil and get that steak in there.
Excellent. Listen to that sizzle, hey?
And we'll pan fry it just like so. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna cook the steak all the way in the pan there. I don't know if you noticed, it wasn't super thick. If I did have a really thick steak, then I could start it in the pan, brown it nicely on both sides, and then finish it in like a 350-degree oven, or even lower is better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So, but we have the flexibility just to do that one all in the pan. What I do want to do though is I also want to get some garlic going. Garlic is great, right?
Yeah, garlic's it's a really good antibacterial. Good for your heart. So it helps thin the blood, which gets all of that circulation and nutrients throughout your body, right? Really good antibacterial. And then it pairs really nicely with the steak as well, which is a really good heme iron source.
Oh, okay.
So again, right, you want to get that energy ready for the ride, right? That recovery.
So flavor-wise, it pairs really nicely with the steak, but you're saying nutrient-wise, it pairs really well. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And it smells so good.
Yeah, totally. So as you can see, we've got a pretty good dose of garlic here for 2 people. Would you not agree?
I would agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, once that steak has finished cooking, we're gonna make the dressing for it right in that pan.
Oh, okay.
So we're just gonna add that garlic into the pan, just give it a quick flash, because I know that, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but garlic and its nutritional benefits are best when it's cooked lightly or even raw.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. So the more raw, the more active the ingredients or the components in there that are benefiting.
Okay. Yeah. So my goal was to remove the steak, add the garlic in, maybe give it like 5 seconds just to kind of take the edge off of it. Add a little bit more oil, or actually add the balsamic vinegar and reduce that down a little bit, and add some of the extra virgin olive oil, which we're going to use kind of for our salad dressing base.
Yeah, excellent. That sounds delicious. Yeah, that's a great. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So, Shelley, we've got our steak here. It's been in the pan for about 6 minutes total. A few minutes aside. We're going to get our garlic in now. As I mentioned, just a quick little flash in the pan here. And then we're gonna get our balsamic in. Once we give that a chance, just to give a little bit of caramelization. Oh, it smells good, hey?
It does, yeah, it's really nice.
And then we'll get our balsamic in there, let that reduce down. Watch out for the steam, because balsamic steam will burn, just like water steam. And then we're gonna add in our extra virgin olive oil.
Oh, excellent, look at that.
So that's our dressing in the pan.
Oh, that looks great.
Right, and the smell, that caramelized balsamic vinegar. It's gonna be a yummy dressing.
That's right.
So let's,
I'm looking forward to this.
Let's just chop up some pretty colors here. We've got some purple cabbage, which is not just pretty, right?
That's right, yeah, it's full of antioxidants, so the more color that we can get into our plates, the better.
Right.
So those antioxidants are gonna protect our heart, improve our vein elasticity, so getting that circulation going, getting the blood through.
Yeah.
Really important when our heart's pumping, for 2 hours, or more during this bike ride, right?
Yeah. So some red peppers on there. And then what we can do here is just take a scoop of each of these. Actually, maybe 2 scoops, hey?
Yeah, I love that. Lots of vegetables in there.
I'm just trying to imagine I just finished a, 50 or 80 kilometer bike ride. I'm going to be feeling pretty hungry, so.
Yeah, definitely. We want to get those carbohydrates into us, that protein. Yeah, get that recovery strong and healthy.
All right, so we'll slice up our steak here. And, it is best to let your steak rest for maybe a little bit longer than we did here. After it's cooked, you want to let it sit for about, 5, 6, 7 minutes so that all those juices can kind of re-assimilate into the cells.
Oh, okay.
And it'll prevent, the steak from kind of bleeding all over the cutting board after you cut it. I
did not know that. Excellent.
So we're now ready for our dressing. The last thing we need to do is season our dressing really well. I actually didn't season the steak, which I normally would have. So I'm just gonna make sure that our dressing here is nicely seasoned. I'm gonna add in salt, pepper, and I've got some toasted cumin seed as well. One of my favorite spices.
Oh, that's a thing of beauty. That looks so good and smells so good. What's nice too about smelling our foods and before we're eating it is it's building up the saliva and the digestive enzymes getting
get
ready
that whole
to
process
break it
started,
down.
right? Yeah. So that's a good reason to enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
And love and be excited about what you're gonna eat.
That's right.
Yeah, that tantalization. All right, would you like to try this salad right after I pull
Yes,
the
I
bats?
would. Yeah, this looks amazing. Great scent, great colors.
Awesome.
Love it.
This one's for you.
Thank you. This one's for you.
Oh, thanks.
There you go.
So let's have a taste and see how we did. We know that nutritionally we're doing well if we're trying to recover from some exercise, but flavor-wise.
This is really nice. Yeah, I can taste the balsamic come up with that light garlic scent to it, that undertone there.
Yeah. It's a good fork and knife kind of salad. Good meal-style salad. Summery.
This is nourishment. Thank you so much for making
my
this
pleasure.
dish. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out today.
Thank you for having me.
It was awesome having you in the kitchen again, sharing your nutrition advice. I know I always hit you up in the nutrition aisle at Country Grocer Royal Oak, but great to have you here in my kitchen, and look forward to seeing you again sometime.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
So we covered a lot of ground today. On today's episode, we went and learned about hospice, all the great, fantastic things that they do, learned some new things that I didn't even know. You know, if you're interested in helping them out, head over to the hospice website and volunteer, sign up for an event. Great way to be a part of a fantastic cause. If you're interested in that balsamic steak salad that we put together today, you'll find that on the Country Grocer website along with hundreds of other recipes. Thanks for being with us, and see you next time.
Country Grocer.